This is from ESPN. Top 10 edge rushers in the NFL. They go number 1, Nick Bosa. Number 2, Myles Garrett. You see highest ranking 1, lowest ranking 4. Last year was second. 27 years old. NFL executive on Garrett. Probably should be first every year. He's just not as consistent as some others on the list, but he is the best singular talent. NFL personnel evaluator. Might be the most imposing defensive player at any position. Ability to take over a game is unique. Now, also in the receiving votes, this was the list, was Za'Darius Smith. The Raiders, Eagles, Browns, and Chargers were the only teams in the NFL that had 2 players who received votes. Relative to him being number 2, he hadn't been able to finish a season healthy. And that's, one year it was the suspension, another year it was COVID. Last year he was banged up after the car accident. So he's missed time. I think if he ever stays on the field for an entire season, he sets some records and becomes Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's getting into his physical prime as well. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. He was a 2027 draft pick, and he doesn't turn 28 years old until the end of December. So that tells you there's still a lot of, there's potential for Myles Garrett to still have a lot of great years of production. I think you mentioned the injuries. That's a big thing that's kind of hurt him. And what I think has kind of hurt him as well in comparison to Nick Bosa, who when I say this, I'm not trying to downgrade the fact that, Nick Bosa deserved to win Defensive Player of the Year last year. You put up 18 and a half sacks in a season. That's outstanding. But you look at who he has to play with on that defense. You go down that depth chart. There is stud after stud after stud. Eric Armstead, Fred Warner's behind him. Drake Greenlaw's behind him at linebacker. Talanoa Hufanga had a breakout season at safety last year for the 49ers. You look at the Browns depth chart, Myles Garrett was basically doing it all by himself last year. He was far and away number 1 on the team in sacks, really just had no help around him at all last season. You would imagine with Za'Darius Smith coming in, with Obo Okoronkwo coming in, with the selection of Isaiah McGuire, probably to a far lesser degree than Smith and Okoronkwo will have an impact. Bringing in Jim Schwartz, who has that mentality of, creating a pass rush with that front 4. There's all sorts of things that should make it easier on Myles Garrett to be able to put up big numbers. Obviously, staying healthy has got to be the number 1 thing, but now he's got help. And now he's got a coordinator who has a proven track record of creating a tremendous pass rush. So no reason he shouldn't be number 1 either next offseason or in 2025, when we're going forward. But still, plenty of good years with Garrett. And Za'Darius Smith, you talked about it, probably the best teammate Myles Garrett's ever played with at defensive end.